Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Super Mario Bros. 3 Randomizer Weekly Race, where we showcase some of the greatest runners in our community that are willing to put on and volunteer to do the weekly races. And today, I am privileged to be on the commentary booth tonight as we have Human Mustard taking on Night Shifter in a brackets run. This is going to be a really good race between two outstanding runners. My name is Growolf. I'm here today with you. I'm going to be calling the shots. I am looking forward to this. We had our tournament earlier last month. I was a huge privilege of mine to be able to commentate on that. Had some really great games. We were able to crown a new champion this time, and we saw some outstanding best of threes in that match. So now we're at the weekly races where we get to have a little bit more fun. We get to have a little bit more, just a little bit more of a chance to kind of showcase what some of these runners can do. So as we get started, we have Human Mustard and Night Shifter both starting in World 1. So no reverse world order this time, but maybe Vanilla World. We'll just have to wait and see on that for sure. But our runners now just getting started. They are going to be doing a brackets run. And what that means is that our runners are going to be going through, and it's going to be very vanilla in the way that it plays out. So there's going to be no way for the hammers to break blocks. That's not a feature that we're going to have here. The Koopa kids are going to have the randomized settings, so any one of them can have earthquake. So two of them will, and then any amount of hit points, things like that. So we've still randomized it, but we've also got it. So you pretty much just have to go through the levels, get to the castle, beat the Koopa kid, and move on to the next world. Then of course we'll be crowning ourselves a winner here once that big turtle at the very end who took Princess Peach to begin with has gone down. So we will come back to that here in just a little bit. 5-2 being a little bit of a problem for Night Shifter, but he's able to maneuver it quite beautifully, honestly, as he did have to deal with the first issue that he had, which was, of course, going up the top path. That is quite a bit quicker. The speed running route for that, I believe, is like 16 or 17 seconds faster. But now into World 1 Fortress, I do believe he'll be doing the exact same thing that Human Mustard does here. And that, of course, will be get a Fire Flower and then go ahead and play it the correct way, which should help break a lock. So unfortunately, not the one that they were wanting. So at this point, the runners do have two choices, either 3-1, or they could take on the Fortress, and that, of course, would break the lock. But there are some very long Fortresses out there, so a very good idea to not go ahead and play the Fortress. 3-1, a super easy one, especially having that Fire Flower suit coming out of World 1 Fortress. It's a really good play here. Human Mustard now going to be going to the 1-5 spot, and of course we'll be looking to see what is there for sure. One other thing to mention is normally the brackets are not sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Usually the brackets don't have in cards enabled. That is true here. Brackets don't have in-card game enabled. So really the only items that are going to be coming out are from the Toadstool houses at 1-3, like we see Human Mustard. We had 3-1, now we've got 1-3. So a bit of a French vanilla, not exactly where it's supposed to be, but pretty close. Now Human Mustard opting to go ahead and take that shell with him, and he of course will be able to utilize the task strat, or at least part of it anyway, and we'll go behind the curtain and see what item he does get here. Night Shifter now on his way to 1-3. A hammer suit on the side of Human Mustard. That is going to be huge, I think, here in just a little bit, because that, of course, is the fastest way for Bowser to go down at the very end. So Human Mustard now on to 5-5. Night Shifter working on 1-3. These guys are moving along very well so far. Human Mustard using a beautiful P-Sweep strat. You love to see it. Very nicely done. And he will be, of course, moving on to the fight with the Hammer Brother until the fight with Larry comes up right after. All right, we have a question about an audio desync. I can certainly look into that real quick. And Human Mustard now taking on the Hammer Brother. That is going to be a hammer. So the World 3 double hammer usage there is definitely a possibility still. Night Shifter is still holding on to his Fire Flower. And I did not see if he went after the... I'm guessing he did because he has two cards. No? He must have gone after it. Okay, so Night Shifter should have a Hammer Brother suit now. And that should not set up either of them up to have much of an advantage going into the fight with Bowser. So now Human Mustard is going to be taking on and finishing off the fight with Larry. And now Human Mustard is going to be going into World 2. Get your guesses in as to what you think it is. Night Shifter going to be doing his best to close the gap here as well. All right, looks like the audio has been switched over. So we'll go to Night Shifters for a little bit, and that's quite all right. Let us know if there's any problems with that for sure. And now we have Human Mustard into a pipe early in this World 7. So we went from 1 to 7, no big deal there. Human Mustard now going to go ahead and play through the Piranha. All right, we have our beloved volunteer from Speed Gaming currently working through the audio issue. So he will definitely be working on that while we continue with the action. So now we have Human Mustard playing the recon game. He's got a lot of pipes to choose from. He saw a fortress, he's seen some locks, and now really he just wants to know where exactly he needs to go. Of course, with this being brackets, the possibility of the hammer breaking a lock is going to be a non-issue because that cannot happen. And really the runners just need to find one fortress. We'll see if there's any divergence. Right now, 4-1 is going to come up, or I'm sorry, 4-2 is up on the side of Human Mustard. Night Shifter still working through the pipes and just wanting to know exactly where it is he needs to go. Human Mustard off to a really good start. He's going to go ahead and play 4-2. That's going to lead him into a fortress. We'll see if Night Shifter goes for the other one. Looks like he's not going to yet. Looks like he's still going for that bottom island, but he hasn't found it yet. So World 8 Fortress is going to be the one up on Human Mustard's side. Night Shifter, on the other hand, is still just kind of looking around and wants to see what it is he wants to know. So now Night Shifter really just on the hunt for figuring out where exactly it is that Human Mustard are. Okay, so it looks like Stewie Cartman going with a hot take already. Night Shifter has already found the bottom left-hand island. We'll see if he's able to use that. Looks like he's going to go ahead and go down and play the one that Human Mustard is currently working on. So 4-2, both of our runners are taking on 8 Fortress. If Stewie Cartman is correct, then that means both of these runners have actually picked incorrectly. And if Night Shifter had played the fortress he saw at that bottom left-hand side, and it is the correct one, that could have been a huge swing for him because then he wouldn't have wasted all the time with the plants, or the pipes, I mean. He wouldn't have wasted all that time, and he would have been moving on to the next world. But unfortunately, that is the gamble that you have to take with the randomizer. And okay, it looks like we're still... Okay, it looks like it is not actually required. And Human Mustard and Night Shifter both obviously knowing something that I don't know, because they both did pick it correctly, and I think I definitely would have picked that wrong just because I was there. So anyway, just because you can doesn't mean you should, and both of our runners have picked a really good option there as they got the routing correct in World 7. And then, of course, it will be the road back home as they have to go find the castle, and we'll be moving on to World 3 here in just a moment. Now Human Mustard into the pyramid level stage. Beautiful P-Speech track going through that. Night Shifter now working to try to get a 1 cycle here. That's where he doesn't take, well, he might take some damage depending on what enemy is there, but then he doesn't have to restart the P-switch. So, okay, looks like he's actually going to make a stop for an item. That will mean he has to get a P-switch, but it also means he's going to be going in with a Fire Flower. So, good decision, not a bad call there. You know, you want to keep yourself as heavily armed as you can. Any amount of damage boost can be a problem. So, you know, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Human Mustard now onto the World 4 airship where Ludwig von Koopa is waiting for him. The Symphony of Sarcasm, I think, is going to be the one up here for Human Mustard. But looks like he's having just a little bit of a problem with a misstep there. So he's going to go ahead and damage boost, save just a few seconds, grab this item real quick, and then go into the fight with Ludwig. Of course, with him being small, that is something he's going to have to be careful for because Ludwig does like to hitbox. Ludwig doesn't even get a chance before the star finally does run out after the fight, And now Ludwig is down after 2, and that is the end for the Maestro of Mayhem. So now, Human Mustard working into World 3. Get your guesses in. What do you think's next? I got to go split and pack. I got to go 4. We'll go with 1 in the middle. Night Shifter now through where he wants to be. He's now going through the pipes, and will be taking on the fight with Ludwig here in just a little bit. So now Night Shifter going to go ahead and play the Piranha. I think that's not a bad call here. Go ahead and get yourself an item or 2. Diesel Pilot is absolutely correct here. We are now in the desert. World 2 has come up. A very generous pipe, it looks like so far. Okay, it looks like we've got a fortress not even going to be played. There's not many chances for a hammer to be used in this, in the seed most likely. So he's going to go ahead and use the rock, or the hammer on the rock, which I think is a very good call. He finds himself in another French vanilla world, a level, which is 2-2, I believe. Yeah, it is 2-2, and I apologize. My kitten decided that it wanted to spaz out over something. So if you heard something in the background, that's what it is. I do apologize about that. I do have to agree with Diesel Pilot here. What about that suit? Why on earth would you take a Hammer Brothers suit there? And I feel like the question is answered with, really, I don't know. I think maybe Human Mustard just wanted a power-up and that's all he had. He's got another one, you know, big deal, but it seems awfully early to be using that Hammer Brothers suit there. But, you know, he's got a tail now. He's going into the castle here. Probably won't have a chance for a off-screen wand grab, but, you know, it is possible. So World 1's airship comes up. It's going to be a pretty flat arena. I just don't think he's going to have the room for it. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how that comes back for him. Night Shifter now exactly 1 world behind is going through the World 4 airship and will be taking on Ludwig here in just 1 moment. Meanwhile, Human Mustard, now losing the tail, is going to have to take on Morton the old-fashioned way, but no big deal. 5 hits is all it will take. Damage at the end does make him Small Mario again. We'll have to wait and see what the princess has in her letter. Meanwhile, Night Shifter now doing his best to get through this Ludwig von Koopa. He does. That's the end of World 7. And it is now time for World 4. We'll have to get our guesses in as to what we think that is. I got to go with 4 again. Eventually, I'm going to be right. This is Super Mario Brothers 3 Randomizer, where the points are made up and the hitboxes don't matter. Okay, a bit of an interesting pipe setup here. Two pipes on the left, 2 pipes now on the right. There are 2 required fortresses. This is very interesting. So in this World 4, there are 2 required fortresses, 1 to build a bridge and 1 to break a lock that's in front of the castle. I don't know if I've ever seen a lock placement there, but I love it. I have to say I love it. Air Force is going to come up first. We'll see if there's only 2 fortresses or if there's a 3rd fortress off to the right. Personally, I hope this is the world that has a fortress off to the right and all 3 are required. That's what I'd like to see. We'll have to wait and see if this 4 makes up for the 2 that we just had. But we, of course, will have to come back to that as Night Shifter is now working on 2-2. Gonna have to go into the mode of tears, but that is quite all right because he is through, he is on, he has his tail, and he's going to be finishing off World 2 here in just moments as he'll be looking for a fight with Morton and the end of the World 1 airship. So he is going to be going into that here in just 1 moment, not going after the item like Human Mustard did. So no big deal there. I think it was a mushroom, so not a real big loss there. Night Shifter now into the World 1 airship. And Human Mustard, okay, has cleared a lock. We'll see if he does. Okay, it was a cloud, actually. So that cloud could be a little bit of a factor now that Night Shifter is not going to be getting it. And Human Mustard deciding to go ahead and take this opportunity, get as many coins as he can, I guess. Win in Rome, I suppose. Night Shifter now into World 4 as well. So he's going to be catching up to Human Mustard here as quickly as he can. Only a couple of levels back still, especially with Human Mustard deciding, hey, I really desperately, truly need lives right now. So Human Mustard taking a bunch of lives. You never know when you might need those. So don't leave home without it. Human Mustard proving that the pipe does not go all the way to the ceiling. That's mighty interesting. And another cloud on the side of Human Mustard. And now he is going to go back and play this fortress. I really, truly hope it does not build a richer. I really, really do. I know that might be a little selfish, maybe a little rude, but I sure think it'd be fun. Either way, a star comes up on the side of Human Mustard. Now Night Shifter trying to figure out exactly what needs to happen here. And yeah, that World 2 was Jet, absolutely Jet. And now we'll have to just wait and see. Both of these pipes just don't matter. There is nothing that's going to help you in either case with either of these. You just got to pick one and go. And then so long as there's not a third fortress, these guys are going to be okay. So 7F2 here on the side of Human Mustard. A couple stars does mean he can go through the very quick way. And now he's going to damage boost through the last part. Waste no more time. As 15 minutes in, Boom Boom does go down in 7F2. Night Shifter now into the Air Force. Doing a beautiful job dodging those wrenches. He must have seen the dodgeball story. Or movie, whatever. And Night Shifter now just making his way through one of the most difficult platformers, in my opinion, in the game. Even with the auto-scroller turned off, the tempo is just weird. But he is able to beautifully get through that and was able to manipulate it without any issue. Unfortunately, the Boom Boom does take him down. What a long level to have to play again. He'll take another item in with him to the Air Force. And now the time has come for Money Mole to go down. Meanwhile, Human Mustard has taken down Iggy, and he's going for a little bit of a... I was going to say he was going to go for manipulation, but let's be honest, that's not actually happening. We can't manipulate... Well, I mean, I guess we could manipulate the game. It just wouldn't make any difference, because as soon as you do, the next level is going to be something like 1-1, and it's not going to mean anything. Either way, Night Shifter now working on the Air Force with a Fire Flower. He's just a couple levels back. That is the last fortress that was required. Unfortunately, Night Shifter with another death. He did misstep there. A little bit of a missed jump. So he will have to play this level again. He's taking a P-Wing this time. And now World 6 is on his way. We'll have to see if this is the one that gives us 3 fortresses. Currently, we've seen several that had 2. We had World 1 and World 7 had 2 fortresses. The World 4 had 2 fortresses, and World 2 had 1 fortress, like it normally does. So we still have another 1 fortress, and then we've got to have at least another 3. So we'll have to wait and see. And then, of course, Bowser's Kingdom will have 8, or 5. I mean, World 8 will have 5, is what I meant to say. So we still have quite a bit of fortresses to come up yet. We're in World 4 on the side of Night Shifter, World 5 for Human Mustard. World 5 is, in fact, World 6, which is just Randomizer at its finest, if I'm being honest. But anyway, so Human Mustard now looking at the first of the Hammer Brother fights here. He has a Hammer Brother with fireballs. Night Shifter has a Fire Brother. And Night Shifter dealing well with his. The Human Mustard just having to be careful here. Has to be a little bit patient, but he does get a P-Wing for his efforts. Night Shifter now onto the fight with 7F2. Beautifully getting through the Air Force. That is not an easy thing to do, especially the more damage that you take and the more deaths that you do take. That is a harder thing to get by and get through. But so far, so good. And Night Shifter is just doing an absolutely outstanding job to keep himself in this one. And unfortunately, 7F2 just being an absolute miser in this regard for him. So he will go ahead and utilize his last star before the Hammer Brothers suit. And we'll see if, hopefully, he does not have to use it. He can get an item here. That is a star, so he will be able to progress further in 7F2. Careful jumps and good timing is all it takes to get through these piranhas. And we'll see if he can get it this time. Beautiful jump underneath the vertical. And now a mushroom, so just a little bit more. And oh, very nicely done. He is able to bypass that thwomp. He is able to deny the boo. He is able to time for the piranha. And now he is on to the last part of this. Hopefully he can get through, no more issues. There is a Firefoot there. He is not going to be a factor yet. Okay, maybe he is. And there we go. Now the fight with Boom Boom begins. Boom and Mustard on his way through the lost level stage. And gets through it, no problem at all. Boom Boom with no more shots. Night Shifter is moving on. 7F2 has been slain. And now he is going to be moving on to the fight with Iggy here in just one moment. Human Mustard now finding himself a couple of Sledge Brothers. He is in an easy arena. This is supposed to be the one for World 7, interestingly enough. Found that out just about a month ago, actually. And Human Mustard now taking it to these Hammer Brothers. Sledge Brother number 2 is in World 6. Apparently you have to be a little bit padded, I guess, if you're going to be in the World 6. I can't say I blame them. You know, pack on an extra couple pounds just to make sure you keep yourself warm there. Now a very interesting development from Human Mustard. I have no idea why he did that, other than I do believe he is having fun, I think is the best way to describe that. Anyway, so Human Mustard broke the hammer, or used the hammer to break the used the hammer to break the rock, and then used the cloud to get by the level, because hey, why not? So anyway, Human Mustard now able to get through that level. Now he is going to be moving on to the 10 panel, which does mean World 6 would normally have a 10 panel, but there's one there. So the most that World 6 can have is 2 fortresses. So World, why not? Why not? So World 4 has already happened. World 3 has not. And World 5 has not. So we have yet to see the world with the 3 fortresses. And we've yet to see World 5 and World 3 with 3 fortresses. And both of them can be a little bit more complicated. World 3 in that there's multiple islands, and World 5 in that there are, of course, 2. There's the Sky Zone and the Ground Zone. And if there's 3 in World 5, there's a very good chance that our runners will have to play multiple fortresses, because the blue and the brown blocks don't always match up with 3 fortresses. So interesting development for sure. I'm very curious to see how this plays out for our runners. So I can't wait to see. Or World 3 could be very interesting as well. That means you're going to have to play a lot. And of course, the double hammer play would no longer be a factor. Human Mustard now onto the World 6 airship. Very fitting. That is the airship that normally would be here in the game. Of course, we are in the World 5 slot, not World 6. But other than that, it's all normal up in here. Night Shifter looking at this fortress here. Looks like he's going to go ahead and play 6F3, the carpet fort, the one with the carpet booze, the carpet of spikes. I always thought it looked like shag carpet. Somebody said, well, yeah, but I think it was named for the carpet booze. That made a lot of sense. So whatever you want to call it, you are welcome to. We all know what it is. It's 6F3. It's the one that has a really tricky clip there where Night Shifter just was jumping into that corner, and you actually take yourself right to Boom Boom. So you completely bypass this auto-scrolling escalator or elevator, whatever. So now, Human Mustard going into World 6. We've not yet seen the world with 3 fortresses. So I am very curious to see, of course, what will happen next. And with that, we will be going to that here in just one moment with Human Mustard. Night Shifter still working on World 6. Of course, he does not have to go through. I don't think I do believe he has to go through that level. I think the pipes are in fact linked incorrectly. So unless you had a hammer, which you would only skip 1 level, so no big deal. Now Human Mustard opting to play another Hammer Brothers suit, because when you want a Hammer Brothers suit, I guess you take a Hammer Brothers suit. And if you wind up with the mushroom afterwards, so be it. Human Mustard doing an absolutely beautiful job to go ahead and get through his little beta level there. And with that, Night Shifter is going to be taking on some of the Sledge Brothers. So currently nothing on this side that makes me believe that there are or are not fortresses up above of the, I believe 2 or, let's see, the majority of them have 2. 6 has 3. So I think this one has to have 2 fortresses if I've done all the math correctly. So Human Mustard is still going to have to figure out the fortresses on top. I mean, of course, Night Shifter will as well here in just a little bit. Currently, he is still working through World 6. A bit of a longer one for sure. Night Shifter, interestingly enough, opted to play 5-9 despite having a hammer in his inventory. he definitely could have skipped this level. But I guess he's here now, so he's going to go ahead and go through 5-9. One of the few auto-scrollers still in the game. Human Mustard now into another Sledge Brother fight. He's going to be taking on... Oh, the big boys did not help him out there. They did not go up like they normally do. And with that, Human Mustard will go ahead and take on the other Hammer Brother. Looks like he's going to be playing a lot of Hammer Brothers tonight. Wants to make sure he is not out of items. A hammer does come up. World 3 is still around. I don't think that Human Mustard has 2 hammers yet, or any more. It seems like he's used them whenever he had them, both on World 6 and World 2. So I don't know that he has another hammer. If he does, I'd be surprised. And World 3's double hammer play could be a factor. So maybe that's why Night Shifter was holding on to the hammer. Maybe he decided that he wanted to go for a World 3 double hammer play at the beginning. Not a bad call here. I mean, with what we've seen so far, that definitely could be a good play. So we're still waiting to see what the Sky Zone looks like, though, as Night Shifter is still working, or is now working on his level, which normally would happen in World 5, and right next to where Human Mustard will be coming out here in just one moment. So 5-7 now down for Night Shifter as he continues on through World 6. Human Mustard, okay, only 2 fortresses in World 5. Human Mustard deciding to go ahead and play the 6-1. It wasn't even the card, it was just 6-1 is the level. And he is going to be taking on a boss fest, but a couple of stars means he'll get through without any problems at all. And he does decide to play 6-1 because there are 2 fortresses he now can access very easily. So either level actually would work there, but regardless, he is now going to be going after the blue fortress after the Hammer Brothers here. So the Boomerang Brothers will go down in just one moment. And now he is going to be taking on the blue fortress in just a few shades. Okay, never mind. Brown Fortress first. He's going to play World 2 Fortress. And 7-5 now up for Night Shifter. It seems like everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for Night Shifter. He's going to go ahead and take that 100 coin fine. He's going to go back and try the other way that, of course, we saw Human Mustard took just a few minutes ago, I should say. And Night Shifter has now found the home of the H jump, the little one, the big ones later on. But of course, Night Shifter will be trying that again. You don't really want to go back to 7-5 unless you have to. So now 3-9 back up for Night Shifter, and he will be going through this one as quickly as he can. And World 2 Fortress now down for the man, the myth, the legend, Human Mustard. So that does mean the blue fortress is in fact required. So when in doubt, bring a star with a power wing, because hey, you never know. And Fort Knox could be a thing. So, you know, we haven't seen that yet. We saw 7F2, but no 7F1 yet. So Human Mustard going to go ahead and trade that for a Fire Flower. And from there, he will be taking on Boom Boom in just one moment. And of course, Fireballs is all it takes to take him down. Night Shifter on his way through World 6 still. And he will be taking on the Lemmy Koopa here in just one moment. So, of course, he will be taking on World 6 Airship as well, as this one was a vanilla order. And now 1-1 has come up for Human Mustard. So some giant monsters on 1-1, but other than that, pretty vanilla for the most part. Night Shifter still working on World 6 Airship, so he will be going into the fight with Lemmy in just a moment. Human Mustard now through 1-1. He will be moving on here pretty much to the end. No clouds, so there is not going to be a skipping here. No big deal. He is just taking on the sushi fish, or cheeps, I should say, of one of the hand levels at the end of the middle of World 8, really. And of course, the item here will be the same for all 3. So if we have another hand stage come up, that will be the same item that he gets here, which is a star. So not a bad item to have a little bit of a nice one if you want to get a quick start on a level, especially to kind of get you out of the way. Human Mustard still feeling the pressure of not having a whole lot of items, so he's gone ahead and grabbed another Toadstool House, and wouldn't you know, he's got another Hammer Brothers suit. So looking really, really good for Human Mustard over here. A lot of really great items so far, and doing just a fantastic job. Night Shifter, hot on his tail. He's now into the same world as Human Mustard is yet again. World 3 is still coming up here soon, so we've got a really good World 3 coming up, and World 8 we still don't have answers to. This one definitely could go for another 10 minutes easily, especially depending on what the Bowser does. I'm sorry, I meant what the World 8 does. So obviously, Bowser, he made World 8 happen and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, so if we have a very difficult World 8, one that's extremely linear, one that's extremely complicated, one that kind of takes you out of your way, whatever the case may be, we could have a bit of a long seed here tonight. But both of our runners just doing an absolutely fantastic job of showcasing the seed, showcasing their skills, showcasing these levels, just really doing a great job so far. So hats off to these two who have put on just an absolutely wonderful show so far. Obviously, we definitely appreciate it. I am a huge fan of SMB3 with all that it entails. I mean, Super Mario Brothers 3 Randomizer, Super Mario Brothers 3, the race team, all these racers. It just makes for a really good time. So I hope you're having a great time tonight. Now we've got Human Mustard going for another item here. I love to see it. It's a lot of items. It's a lot of chances to just kind of see, maybe things we don't always see. Sometimes the runners will go for the most optimized strat. They'll go for the ones that, you have to do this at this time to get here and so on and so forth. But, I love seeing it. 3-7 comes up for Human Mustard and he says, you know what? I could use another item. No big deal. Looks like you got 2 fortresses right out the gate. Human Mustard now finds himself in 6F2. Also, Frozen Fortress of Solitude, some will call it. Human Mustard grabbing that tail there. We'll take the under the path route, and then we'll go ahead and damage boost through the swamp. So no big deal there. He'll grab one more item as he does continue on through this. Very well said, Frith42. Absolutely right. Speed Gaming 5 has been, Speed Gaming has just been absolutely outstanding to help us with these weekly randomizers all the time. I mean, they've been doing this for years now, and I know this because I was doing this last year, and they've been doing it before that. So, for them to come in every single week to help us out, to feature us on SG Live, to help us host a tournament, I mean, just everybody that's a part of Speed Gaming is absolutely wonderful. We've never had a bad interaction with them. They are super pleasant to work with very wonderful people, and they do so much behind the scenes that we don't talk about nearly enough. So we say thank you to them as well, for sure. And it has been my absolute pleasure being on comps tonight. It is always a good time, always a lot of fun. These guys are great. When I found out they didn't have a commentator, I was like, well, sign me up. This is a great time. You all are always wonderful. These guys are wonderful. It's just a great time all around. And meanwhile, Human Mustard now into World 3, and he's got through a fortress. He's got 3 pipes coming up in just a moment. Tail comes out now on his side. Might come into play here in just a little bit. Human Mustard will grab a star on his Hammer Brothers side. Now the search for Wendy begins. It looks like Human Mustard utilized the hammer there. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for an itemless finish at the end of Bowser World 8. That's something that he's done before. Personally, I think it's entertaining. I think he does a really good job when he does that. Essentially, Human Mustard just wants to make it so he has no items at the very end of the game. So we'll see if he comes back to that. We'll see if that's something that he's doing here. Night Shifter, meanwhile, working through 4F1, and we'll be going the bottom route, which does give you another item. This time it is a Fire Flower. So it's getting hot in here. We've got 3 Hot Foots and a Fire Flower, but Night Shifter now moving through, and hopefully, there we go. Very nice. Tanuki suit on the side of Human Mustard is how you're supposed to beat this level the original way. Our runners, whenever they expect it coming up, they will equip themselves with a Peewee or a tail or a Tanuki suit if they've got one in their inventory. And that, of course, does make this level a lot quicker. Obviously, speedrunners, they know exactly where 7F1 is, so they are able to plan ahead for it and actually utilize it. So no big deal there. Our runners are going to be able to blaze through it, no problem. Not a very terrible level, but it is one that is definitely time-consuming, especially if you start 7F1 small. So very nicely done for Human Mustard. Takes a P-Wing now from a Hammer Brother. And now Night Shifter looks like he's going through World 2's Fortress. And he does have a problem with that hot foot at the beginning, but is able to overcome that. Boo, unfortunately, in the wrong place at the wrong time. But Night Shifter now through and onto the fight with Boom. So now he is going to be going through the fight very nicely, very quickly, very expected, and is going to be moving on as well. But just doing a fantastic job so far. Really moving along very nicely. I mean, 34.5 minutes in, he's working on World 6. World 7 now being closed out by Human Mustard, who's going for a fire kill on Mindy. And that will be successful as he now goes into World 8. This is a chance where we get to ask the question, one of my personal favorite mini games, Bridges to Bowser. How many bridges is it going to take for our runners to get to Bowser's castle? Let's do Pro with a 3. I think 3 sure would be fun to see. I'm gonna have to say 1. I'm gonna go 1, and hopefully the reverse psychology will kick in, and it'll be 3 because that's what I'd like to see. So 1 it is. That's what I'm saying. 1. Night Shifter now onto the hand level that we saw Human Mustard on just a few minutes ago, and he is going to be getting a star for his efforts here as well. We're getting all kinds of guesses in chat. We still need a 0 and a -1, so if anybody wants to get those in, you're welcome to. Human Mustard is going to be going for a clip jump here. Not very easy if you are a Big Mario, and of course he is the Super Mario. He has himself a Fire Flower suit, so 6'9", we'll see if that does help him here at all. Meanwhile, Night Shifter now into the World 7 airship, and Human Mustard able to pull it off. A very nice clip jump there. Diesel Pilot, thank you so much for your help tonight. Really appreciate everything. I hope that you have a wonderful night and you rest easy. Human Mustard now into the super tanks. He is going to be going through with the P-Speed strat, so very nicely done. That's a little bit of a complicated one to get, but not too bad if you have a Fire Flower. So nicely done there. Roy the Boy Johnson being a huge problem child for Night Shifter, but he is able to pull off the win. No big deal. TKO, he's out. World 7 coming up next. World 8 still in the books for Human Mustard. He saw nothing break there, but he has seen a lot of fortresses so far. Oh, gotcha. Well, I'm not taking it back. I still appreciate everything that you did to help us out tonight, so appreciate it. So thank you. And no 4s, so 3 and down I think is still available. I haven't really seen anything break yet, so we'll have to come back to that. I'm still hopeful, but we'll have to wait. Mushroom comes up for Night Shifter. That was the Princess Peach letter, or the Princess. I don't think it ever says Peach, but Princess Toast, so whatever. All right, Human Mustard did get a lock break there. That means 4 cannot happen, 3 cannot happen. We'll see if 2 happens in just a moment. Night Shifter now onto 3-7. Decides not to go for the item. Not a bad call, especially if you're getting a little concerned that you're going to get eaten alive here. Boss Bass not able to secure a meal. Night Shifter thankful for that. And now the Fire Flower, there we go. The Fire Flower Mario now onto 6F2 and Dry Bones. He's going to go ahead and wait for him to just spawn. Nope, just all right. Looks like he will get a tail. Slid too far. Unfortunately, 6F2 will have to be played again, and he will go ahead and go in with a mushroom and a star. So not a bad call there. I think that's a really good decision. Get rid of that Dry Bones. Get yourself a tail, and now there you go. Very nicely done. Human Mustard into one of the beta levels that honestly is a lot easier to play with the tail because he's going to be able to break a couple of blocks and find himself at the end of this level. So he's going to be through that in just one moment, just in time to get out of the way for the Angry Sun. Very nicely done. Night Shifter still waiting on the Thwomps and the Roto Discs until he is able to take on the fight to Boom Boom here in 6F2. Human Mustard now just making his way through all the levels of World 8 because, hey, why not just play them all? If you play them all, you don't have to worry about what's in Bowser's Valley. Human Mustard now currently into the next pipe. He is going to be going probably to the hand stage part. Okay, here we go. And it looks like we do have a naval ship still. So really at this point, all we need to know is where's Bowser at. And it looks like he is going to figure that out. And one it is, 0 Wing 211. You are absolutely correct. Very nicely done. We got it this time. We said 1. We were right. That's amazing. That feels really nice. So anyway, Human Mustard now working on 610. Night Shifter working on 3F1. He was able to take a couple of items there. I think that's a really good decision. And Night Shifter is taking the fight to Boom Boom. No big deal at all. Human Mustard finishing up 610. No big deal. And a little bit of fanfare. A little bit of an unusual one. A mushroom is not necessarily one we see all the time. That's a little bit uncommon. So basically anything but Star I think is a little bit uncommon. But a very nicely done job for Human Mustard. Night Shifter now working his best to get through World 3 still. A P-Wing does come out for Human Mustard into 5F1. So very interesting here. He is going to be blazing through this, no big deal at all. Damage boost, do keep the P-Speed strats coming, and that is what we like to see. So Human Mustard doing an absolutely outstanding job here. Night Shifter still just doing a great job getting through World 3. Now he's on 7F1. He's got a tail. It's like it was planned, folks. He is now going to be blazing through, and please understand it wasn't planned. There's no way Night Shifter could have known that. So anyway, 7F1. It's going to go quickly as Night Shifter does take on the fight to Boom Boom yet again. A lot of fortresses as we do finish this up. Human Mustard now going through with a frog suit. A little bit of trouble getting up that slope. And one more stage. Why not? One more stage for the ages as 2-3 is up for Human Mustard. You know, you never know when something might come alive and you decide you need to play it. You know, you never know. It could have been another hidden item stage. It could have come in handy. It could have been one more Hammer Brothers suit. But it's not. It's 2-3. Human Mustard now using the frog suit to get himself through this. Night Shifter doing his best to get through this world. 3 airship, I think. I just had a mental break. Yeah, that's World 3's airship. Sorry about that. Okay, World 3's airship. So we had another vanilla one, actually, because that is where Wendy is, and that's at the end of World 3, so very nice. Night Shifter having a bit of a problem with the gargantuan ring thrower. She's a bit of a thick Wendy tonight, and he's going to have to go back again, and looks like he's not going to equip anything. Frog Suit comes out once again for Human Mustard. There are no items left in the inventory. Frog Suit comes out for Human Mustard, and he will beat the game the way the developers intended it. So Frog Suit comes out. We'll see if any of the clips happen here. No clipping yet. It's going to be a really difficult one. He's going to have to do this the honest way if he's going to get through with the Frog Suit. Again, as the developers intended it. Wendy is still being problematic on the side of Night Shifter. And, oh, if you don't hit her just right after she comes out of that spin, you're going to have a bad time. And unfortunately, that is a bad time for Night Shifter, as he does have to play World 3's airship just another time here, hopefully for the last time, because anymore, he will be looking at a game over pretty quickly. So hopefully that does not happen. Thankfully, the fortresses will not have to be replayed. However, any of the levels he played will. And I believe there was one at the beginning where 3-1 normally would be. So 3-1, he would have to play again. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully that's not going to be a factor, though. And now the frog is dodging the fireballs. Oh, so close. So absolutely close. Mario, unfortunately, has lost the frog suit. And Night Shifter has lost the battle with Wendy. So Human Mustard now going to have to do it the normal way. Of course, what is normal except for setting on the dishwasher, as Human Mustard is now going for a clip to Bowser's room, because it's not just good enough to go to Bowser's room. We want a clip to get there. We want to make it look great. That's what we're all about here. Human Mustard now using the hitbox don't matter, and Night Shifter having a problem with the flamethrower. That is going to be that dreaded great game over that we just talked about. Thankfully, though, like I said, there's only one level. It wasn't a terrible one, if I recall correctly. So you play it. Yeah, so 3-7, no big deal. He's going to be able to get an item here. Oh, no! Boss Bass has his lunch first. Night Shifter is going to have to go through 3-7 again. And Human Mustard going to be finishing up here in just one moment. A very, very good job on the side of Human Mustard for sure. So a very nicely run race for Human Mustard. A very nice win there. And what an exposition of all that SMB3 has to offer. You know, we talk about this just being a kind of an interesting thing because it's not really a speed run. Our runners have never seen the game. GG's, of course, to Human Mustard. We're going to see if we can get him in here for an interview in just one moment. The only comment that we got from Human Mustard there was, I should have saved the second frog suit instead of going to the hand level stage. So, unfortunately, we did not get the way the game was intended to have been beaten tonight, but that is no big deal. He took it very far. He was almost at Bowser, which in itself is impressive. That's difficult to do. If you don't believe me, take a frog suit to Bowser's castle and let me know how it goes for you, because I've tried it before. It's a lot harder than it looks, and it looks pretty hard. So anyway, very nicely done on the side of Human Mustard. Just an absolutely stellar run. 44 minutes, 19 seconds. A great, very succinct run. You know, we were talking about it previously. It's not a speed run. Runners know, the speedrunners know what's coming up next. This is a randomizer. It's just a race. That's really, truly all it is. But, you know, it's a blind race. These guys haven't seen the seed before. If they have, I don't know how you'd even remember it. You know, as much as some of these guys seen or run with all their different seeds and stuff. But anyway, so there's that. And, you know, it's not really a speed run, but if we were to actually describe it as one, it'd be a a warpless any percent. So we're not allowing our runners to warp. And actually, we have taken some of the different things out that would make it the vanilla game, like the in-car game and so on. But regardless, you know, even a 44-minute time, that's still really, really good. Had a bit of a jet world, too. So, you know, it kind of gives and it kind of takes away. World 3 ended up being a lot longer. Night Shifter now into World 8, and we just saw it on the side of Human Mustard, where it was actually the Navy ship that was the one that unlocked it to Bowser. So a very linear World 8. And of course, we will be looking forward to seeing Night Shifter get through this as well as quickly as he can. But we are not going to get an interview from Human Mustard tonight, but that is quite all right. We certainly appreciate all that he did tonight. A very nice run. We definitely appreciated that. You know, just very exceptional. And we appreciate him being a part of the weekly randomizer tonight for sure. Night Shifter now trying to figure out exactly what it is that Human Mustard just figured out. And that, of course, is where Bowser is. Night Shifter not having any luck going over the level, so he's going to wind up going through the level, or actually below the level, I think, because this is the underground scene. Either way, he is making short work of this, and the piranha plants just are not going to be a factor. So Night Shifter doing just a very good race so far. He's got a long World 8 here, but still looking at that sub-hour, and it's still in play here. He still has 12 minutes to find Bowser, to take him down. Human Mustard showing off his Alfs. So if you like Alf, you should definitely head over and give Human Mustard a follow. If you don't, if you like SMB3 Randomizer and guys that keep it real, then I definitely recommend you check out Human Mustard. as he puts on a lot of really cool content, does a lot of really cool things, is always willing to talk to people. Just an absolute outstanding runner. And Night Shifter as well, doing a lot of things with SMB3 Randomizer as well. These guys are both really, really good, and we appreciate all that they do. Even at 48 minutes in, please understand that is still a spectacular time. Seeing how we've had 8-1, 8F1, I should say, 7-5 came up, 5-9 came up. Those were both in the route. Human Mustard was able to skip both of those, but they were still there. So, there are a lot of levels here that are absolutely very tricky, and these guys just make it look easy. So a very good job on both their sides. And Human Mustard having a hand level emote. I'm just going to leave that right there and not talk about it any longer. Meanwhile, Night Shifter 5F2 has come up, and the fight with Boom Boom will be coming up in just one moment. It's amazing to me how a Boom Boom that lives in a lava castle can't tolerate the fireballs. So, interestingly enough, either way, Night Shifter now working on figuring out where the Navy ship is, and he will, of course, be going to that as quickly as he can. But first, tanks and 6F2 or 6F1, I should say, has come up. All three of World 6's fortresses have come up this game. We've seen a lot of fortresses. There were not many that could be skipped, actually. And of course, that perfect pixel jump sequence does come out for Night Shifter. You either love to see it or you hate to see it. I'll let you make up your mind. But anyway, so where I was going with that previously is to get through a seed in sub-hour is still very good. There's a lot of things that get thrown at you. There's a lot of things that happen, a lot of things that make it a lot trickier. So a sub-hour is still solid, honestly. So 10 minutes to go for that, 9.5 actually here. And Night Shifter is closing in on it. Of course, now he will have to go back to the hand stage part where the hand bridge is. And then, of course, he will be going after the Navy in just one moment. So Night Shifter now currently trying to figure out where on earth is the hand stage. And of course, he'll be figuring that out here in just one moment. He did just go through that pipe, so he will be going back to the beginning to start over a little bit. Now he's got the pipe. He's going to be going to the hand stage here in just a moment. Now it's got to be one of those three. We know that two of them are dead. They are connected to each other. So the one in the middle will, of course, be the one that does take him all the way to to Bowser's Castle, I do believe. 610 now up on the side of Night Shifter. He'll take one more item here. It is a star. He's going to be able to protect himself just a little bit. I'll still staring off into the distance. Looks like he's having a good time. And Night Shifter, okay, being just a little bit careful there, deciding not to jump too quickly. Not a bad call there for sure. Now, he is going to be moving on and taking on the pipes here in just a moment. And then we have the Navy. And of course, he still has to find Bowser. So we'll come back to that in just a moment. All right, he has found the loop. Now he should be finding the Navy here in just a moment. All right, 5F1 has come up for Night Shifter, and he will use a star to get himself through without any damage boost. Very nicely done on his side. And now it is time for him to pick a fight with Boom Boom. Boom Boom has gone down quite a few times tonight. That's what we like to see for sure. All right, Night Shifter has now finished off all the fortresses. A very linear World 8 as far as that goes. So even at 53 minutes here, doing just a fantastic job altogether. I mean, this one, if you were to go back and play it, I would challenge you to get less than an hour. This is a hard seed, really. So thank you to Diesel Pilot for rolling it. It certainly has made for a fun one so far. And a lot of really good levels. We didn't see Atlantis. We saw 5-9 come up. It actually wasn't required if you had a hammer or, of course, a cloud, which Human Mustard used both of. So there you go. Hammer Brothers Shoot has come out on the side of Night Shifter. It's still a really good way to get through Bowser's Castle. and of course will be the quickest way to get through Bowser himself. So Night Shifter now just being careful on the Disco Alley. He does have to be just a little bit patient here. Of course, on this other side, he should be able to use the Any Man's Clip, which will get him through very nicely. And now onto the Falling Bridge part of the Lava Hall. Now Night Shifter is going for a clip. Okay, hasn't quite gotten it yet. Second try, no big deal. Third try, nope. Third time's not the charm. Okay, he goes for the fireballs. Alrighty, so far so good through the laser statues. We'll see if he is able to do what the frog suit could not and get to the end without any further damage here. He is able to get over that last fireball, no big deal. The fight with Bowser is on, and it is over. Get your GGs out in chat for Night Shifter, who put on a stellar performance. Still going to be a sub hour, going to be below 55 minutes. We'll get the official race time in just one moment. For Human Mustard, it was a 44-18. Very nicely done on his side. And then for Night Shifter, it was a 54-36. Still a great run overall from both of our guys. Just a very solid performance. You'll love to see it for sure. I'll go ahead and... All right, I think we're going to be able to get Night Shifter in. And we'll see if we can get an interview real quick and ask some questions of our runners. If you do have any questions for the runner, definitely get your questions in the chat. We would love to answer those for you. Night Shifter is a solid runner. You know, he's a little bit new to the scene, but we certainly have been excited to see what he's been able to do so far. And of course, tonight that was a 54-36 and a pretty nightmare seed, if I'm being honest. So very nicely done on his side, and we'll be getting him in just one moment. And with that, I am now joined by Night Shifter, GG.
Thank you, Growl. Good to be running again.
Absolutely. I was able to get on his commentary at last moment, and I'm so glad I did. You guys put on such a stellar performance. A beautiful seed. I think for us, maybe not so much for you. What were your thoughts on it?
Wasn't too bad of a seed. Wendy being Wendy, of course, but that was standing.
Yeah, I did not envy you for that at all. You had a couple of levels come up, and one of them you did not know about of, like I kind of expected. In World 6, you took on 5-9.
Yeah, I should. I was, as I was playing, I realized I was like, oh, I should just. This is my last hammer pop, so I should just pop the hammer and gone by it.
I mean, at that point, I was kind of thinking maybe a hammer play, but World 3, we kind of been stalking it all the way up till the very end. There was no world with 3 fortresses yet, so World 3 was it. Like, that was all.
And you had to play all 3 too.
Exactly.
There was nowhere, and World 8 you had to play all 4.
Yeah, that was disgusting. 7 fortresses in the last 2 worlds. That's incredible.
Yeah, and 7 fortresses in the last 2 worlds, all required. And it's just like, wow.
Yeah, I think that right there is grueling. I think at 29 minutes, I was talking about how it might go for another 10. And it was even longer than that. I mean,
oh, jeez. But World 5 wasn't pleasant either, having to do the climb up just to go across, then up, and then still have to play 2 fortresses.
Yeah, that one was definitely a lot longer. I was hoping kind of for a World 4 to be a little bit longer. Really just 2 fortresses and a whole lot of Hammer Brothers. But what did you think of that lock placement?
In which world?
World 4.
The fact that both forts, it basically required both forts. I was like, oh, okay.
That one baffled me as well. I mean, because a fort had to break the lock and build the bridge. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen that before.
I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, that's over half the levels that all the forts were required.
World 2 technically wasn't because of the rock there.
Yeah.
But World 1 had 2 that were, well, one was required. The other one was not. World 3 had 3. World 4 had 2 that were required. 5 had 2 required. 6, I think, had 1 required.
Yeah, so 5 of the 8 worlds, you had to play all the forts.
That is incredible. That is a lot of fortresses.
Yeah, it was, and that was kind of brutal. Now, I felt like I got a little extra turned around in World 7, but I might not have.
Maybe just a little bit. I was a little concerned, and we were starting to make bets in chat. Stewie Cartman thought maybe the 4 and the 5 panel would be the right choice. And he and I agreed. We both would have played that because we were there, but you actually had a really good time of going all the way around, playing 3, or I guess that was 4-2. And then you went into the fortress, and then that was it. That was the right one, which we were impressed by because I think we both would have played the other one because, hey, you're already there, but you made the right call.
Sometimes I do a good job of sniffing out the right forts. Other times, not so much.
I mean, I gotta say, at 6-2, or not 6-2, in World 6, you know, what we already talked about, I think probably was really your only routing. I can't even call it a mistake. I mean, it just is what it is. You still possibly could have had the double rock play there, but, you know, and 5-9, we got to say 5-9, so no complaints here. But other than that, I mean, it seemed like a pretty linear route for the most part.
Yeah, it really was. World 6, yeah, there was World 6 being World 6. That's for sure. Because all the pipes were right up front, which is just like, oh, well, there goes any hope of a nice, quick World 6.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's always a little bit of a heartbreak when you either see all the pipes or none of the pipes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, come on.
And especially if I recall correctly, they were locked up. So either you used your hammer early and you skipped one level, which wasn't that long. I think it was a beta stage that you just ran across, or you played a level. So not really a win there for either.
No, it was like, okay. I checked the one pipe that I could, and it brought me back to the other one. I was like, all right, so I play one stage and then I'm through. Okay.
Yeah, and it just seemed like there was a couple places where items just didn't matter. A couple clouds came up, but okay.
Not on my end. I didn't get any clouds.
I think Human Mustard was using a bit of an aggressive strategy because it seemed like whenever he had an item, he used it, and then he went and found more items, and then he used those. And I don't know that there's a single Hammer Brother he did not play. He wanted items.
Oh, geez, he really went aggressive on the items. Okay.
Even so much so as going after the Toadstool House in World 5 on the top side.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
And he got a Hammer Brother suit.
Well, I thought my play in World 1 was brilliant until, 3 levels later we got another hammer suit in the letter and it was like, oh.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised by that. It seemed like there was several hammer suits, including one he had gotten from a Toadstool House, and I think he got one somewhere else. He wound up having like 3 or 4. It was ridiculous.
Oh, wow. Okay. But yeah, I thought my play in World 1 and 1-3 to go for the item and it turned out being a hammer suit was brilliant until, like I said, we got one in a letter and it was like, oh, well, any advantage I had there is gone.
Yeah, what a difficult place to be because, what call do you make? Really, truly, what do you do there? And I love the risky strategy like you were just talking about. But as soon as the game decides it doesn't want to be stingy, then you've just lost any lead because there's too much of it to begin with.
Yeah, and it can't be helped. But not a bad seed for my first seed back to run in for a while. It definitely had some rusty spots, but I'll probably be getting back more to doing more runs and more races here as the summer wraps up.
Well, we will certainly look forward to seeing that. A great time for sure. I was happy to be back. I know Human Mustard loves to race as well, and I certainly appreciate it. And I know chat appreciated it as well. So Thank you for the great race. We definitely look forward to seeing more.
No problem, Growlwolf. Glad you were on comms and had a good time.
Always. Any closing thoughts for the viewers? Anything else?
Just that it was an interesting weekly, and I hope we get a few more bigger weeklies here in the coming weeks.
Absolutely. Maybe, like you said, as the summer winds down, we'll get some more people in.
Yeah, that would be awesome because it ended up just being a 2-man weekly this week. But hey, it was entertaining, I hope.
Absolutely. So with that, I think we will go ahead and close it here. We'll be, of course, getting off to one of the other wonderful things that Speed Gaming is currently doing. If you're not already following the channel, the runners, certainly do that. There's a lot of great content. If you like randomizers, if you like races, if you like anything like that, certainly come around, watch, follow, be a part. For now, that's all from us today. On behalf of SMB3 Randomizers community, Speed Gaming, Human Monster, Night Shifter, this is Growlwolf signing off saying thank you so much for being here. There's a lot of places you could bid tonight, but you're here with us. So thank you so much. We hope that you have a wonderful end of your Saturday or, wherever it is for you. Sunday, definitely have a great one. And we will look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, keep randomizing, keep racing. Take care.